got a little bit of critiques on Twitter recently by many players in this tournament, not feeling as though it was that great of an option. Cifka, once again, proving people wrong. They really have their pulse on this format.
He's 4-0 currently, and let's see if he can make it 5-0 to be our first player through to day 2. Easy peasy, win 5. Go and enjoy the rest of your afternoon, good sir.
Yeah, it's like just winning a league on Magic Online.
Easy
Boom,
peasy.
done. We're all the way through.
So Kvartek did not like his opening hand, decides to mulligan and finds Paradise Druid, Oko, Wicked Wolf, and Nissa. Not too shabby. What do you think of this hand?
Hand is totally fine. Obviously going to put a card back with the mulligan. I think this is almost certainly a keeper. Maybe you put Nissa back, but it's also tough because Nissa is so very good, but it's your most expensive card. Worth noting as well that the opponent here in Cifka gets to go first, so that means that Chris will get to draw a card first. So he's going to put a land back, and there's the hope here of drawing more mana, which, fair enough, we're underway.
Fair enough. Kicking things off with Temple Guard, and Arboreal Grazer is going to get another land onto the battlefield. Temple of Mystery, going to scry, find something on top of the library he likes to keep, drawing the Brazen Borrower for Kvartek, and just running out his breeding pool. So getting things going here, Oko, Thief of Crowns, will enter the battlefield and start making some food, or make this Arboreal Grazer into a 3/3. You never know what Oko's going to do. He is a tricksy one.
Cifka could start right away to start giving some beatdowns with the Grazer. You know, the Grazer, the fact that a Grazer is in 0-3 in this matchup with Reach doesn't generally, in my experiences, play a huge role in things. Could just go beatdowns here. Maybe, I mean, obviously the other option is just make a food token, so we'll have to see, but could very easily just go beatdowns here.
Not too shabby. I mean, just look at this board. Look what Bant Ramp likes to do. 3 lands, a Planeswalker, as opposed to just 1. That's pretty crazy.
No, and you know, like, you're taking a look at Cifka's hand. I mean, this isn't the best hand here. Now, it is worth noting, and Paul touched on this alongside Maria just a few seconds ago, but we're looking at a deck here for Chris Kvartek where he doesn't have access to Hydroid Krasis, where Cifka has 4 copies of Hydroid Krasis, and we're feeling as though that may be the most important difference in the matchup, is that Cifka has something to power out when he's mana flooding, or at least bridge the gap into Krasis, and maybe into Krasis. Whereas Kvartek can't do any of that stuff. He's got to shorten the length of the games. The longer it goes, ideally the worse it's going to be for him. So that's just something to keep in mind here.
So as the players decide what their next move is, Paradise Druids, a pair for each players, just ramping up even more into that big Hydroid Krasis like you mentioned. Kvartek has got a lot of action in hand, needs to find another land perhaps just to smooth things over a little bit. Did draw the Gilded Goose, so that can help in that respect. He does have the Wicked Wolf too, that can get rid of a few pesky critters, like this, you know, elk food 3/3 thing. That'll swing in for 3 points of damage. Paradise Druid staring it down, but no blocks, taking Kvartek down to 17, draws Vivian Arkbow Ranger off the top of the library. Kind of wants another land here pretty quick, doesn't he? Yeah,
Kvartek is actually in some serious trouble now because he's going to miss a land drop. Gilded Goose is, in a weird way, a replacement land, and Brazen Borrower will be at the ready. And I will mention the actual adventure side of that, which is Petty Theft, which is actually going to be at the ready here at instant speed. But with putting the land on the bottom, Kvartek was basically banking on, well, I'll draw another one over the course of the next couple of turns, especially because I'm on the draw, so I get the first draw step of the game. That's not come to fruition. That's a tough break for him. He's going to be a little bit behind this game.
Far as the draw for Stan Cifka, still has that Hydro Krasis in hand. Oko, Thief of Crowns, can turn this Goose into a 3/3 if he so chooses. Just deciding what he wants to do here. I mean, there's no harm in running out the Hydroid Krasis now.
Yeah, I mean, could play the Forest, could apply the Krasis for 4. You know, gain a little bit of life, draw a couple of cards, all that good stuff. But again, now it looks like the Grazer's getting ready to go aggressive. And, and I like this shift in the game here from Stan because basically, you know, he was a little bit hesitant. He thought very long on turn number 2 about how to use his Oko, decided to make that food token that's attacking now instead of making the Grazer attack right away. The reason that we're seeing this shift is because his opponent missed a land drop.
Yeah.
That's the main reason we're seeing this now. So Brazen Borrower was actually going to do a really nice job of taking care of that treasure token, excuse me, that food token with the Petty Theft. And now we're going to see the big Hydroid Krasis.
Here it comes. Let's see what it finds off the top of the library for Stan Cifka. Ooh, Nissa who shakes the world. That's a pretty good thing to yoink off the top, if I do say so myself.
Yep.
Another Wicked Wolf for Kvartek. Can play a lot of the cards in his hand, but it comes at the cost of tapping things down and sacrificing that food token. So what does he do here? It's a tricky situation.
Yeah, he's stuck on mana here. So if he plays the Wicked Wolf, he actually has to cash in the food token to actually even deploy that. And that's part of the problem is you don't get to see that one kind of 1-2 punch of, Wicked Wolf fight something, sacrifice the food token. Yes, you do get to kill the Paradise Druid, but that means the Wicked Wolf is not as good as it could be in this spot. And that means a Nissa who shakes the world could start to really run away with this game.
There is a second Wicked Wolf, though. We do have Oko, so plenty more food to come for Kvartek, provided he stays alive. There is this 4/4 Hydroid Krasis just eyeing him out, looking at this Ajani avatar and going like, yes, I would like to take that down very, very quickly. And that's what he wants to do here.
Yeah, and that's going to be kind of the problem here. Again, we mentioned that Cifka has Hydro Krasis, Chris does not. Chris is trying to play a shorter game. Stan is more than happy to play a longer game with his ramp strategy that's splashing light. So
there we go. I was hoping to see that. That land is now a 6/6, and insane amount of damage getting through there. Kvartek is down to 4. Advantage Cifka for sure. Finding the land finally, but seeing the writing on the wall and conceding to Stan Cifka, who takes the first game.
And takes that one pretty cleanly and pretty easily, too. I think that's worth noting. Stan has a really nice build of this deck for this kind of matchup. Generally, in matchups like this, you want to go a little bit bigger than your opponent. He's able to do that even more a little bit after sideboard. It looks like he's bringing in a copy of Frilled Mystic and some other options here. Well, actually, pardon me, this is what Kvartek is going to be doing on his side of things because he's the one with the 4 copies of Brazen Borrower. But the point still remains that Stan is actually able to go bigger than Chris is in this matchup, and that generally favors the players able to go bigger in mid-range matchups like this. Not always, but in most instances. So, again, if you're Chris, you don't want to play a longer game. Your deck is not well situated to play a longer game. You do have some long game elements like Nissa, but you don't have Hydroid Krasis where your opponent does, so it's going to favor Stan the longer that we go.
Did I see correctly 4 questing beasts out of the main deck?
Maybe.
I think so.
Maybe.
That's very interesting. I'm very curious to see how this shakes up. Taking a look at Stan Cifka's sideboarding process, just thinking what it is he might be up against in the sideboard of Kvartek.
Now, this is interesting to note. I'm seeing Nissa's on the bench.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Deputy Attentions on the bench. I'm seeing some real extremely powerful payoffs here. Looks like one Nissa is going to come back in, but you see Agent of Treachery. You still see the 4 copies of Hydroid Krasis. You see a copy of Mass Manipulation in the deck now after sideboard. He's fiddling a little bit with his configuration, thinking about taking out the Deputy that he's put back in. So he's a little back and forth on exactly how he wants to set up, but it is really notable that Nissa, who shakes the world, one of the key cards in this deck and in this tournament, is on the bench.
So perhaps Kvartek thinking he's up against a Nissa, but no. Stan Cifka has taken it out of the fold. Ooh, that is a snap heap if I ever saw one. Hello. So with 2 Gilded Gooses, you can get turn 3 Nissa down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a thing.
If he draws it, let's see. Both opening hands look really, really good on both sides. We've got the Gilded Goose, Growth Spiral, and Once Upon a Time for Stan Cifka. Draws Once Upon a Time, fired off, and gets himself another forest. Plays that out. 2 gooses a pair.
The geese are everywhere.
Honk, honk.
Okay.
Oh,
well,
yeah. Okay, now I want to see it, please. Come on, one time.
No, we're just gonna go. We're just gonna go straight to Oko.
Okay, fine.
Which,
I'm
look,
sad.
it's totally a totally reasonable play.
Yes.
I
Like
would
you said
say.
earlier, turn 2 Oko is probably the best turn you can have in Standard at the moment. So it makes perfect sense for him to do it. I was just hoping to see a turn 3 Nissa.
And you got to remember, too, we just saw turn 2 Oko in the last game there from Cifka, and he was able to push his advantage quite a bit with that food token and then making a Boreal Grazer into a real threat after it ramped him in to turn 2 Oko.
Oh, yeah. We also saw a 6/6 land, which was pretty freaking cool, too.
Yep.
So there's many shenanigans to be had in both of these decks. Very similarly built, around the same powerful cards. It's just going to be whose configuration is best.
Well, we got plenty of Nissas now, so you wanted 1. You actually ended up getting 2.
Probably not what he wanted, though.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, if these games continue to take the tenor that we've seen over the course of our couple of rounds here that we've covered, look, there is an extreme reliance on taking care of Nissa as fast as possible. Now, it is also very interesting to me, too, that Cifka sideboarded his out. Again, he's got 1 left in his deck, sideboarded 3 copies out, and he did that very quickly, which means that he is almost assuredly well-versed in this matchup, and he knows that he does not want them in his deck. So, an interesting strategy for sure, but we're talking about a Pro Tour champion among many other accolades for Cifka, so that's no accident.
Nope, not at all. So we're going to see the second Gilded Goose enter the battlefield, make a food token. So we got these flyers that, you know, don't do much except make food tokens and keep wicked wolves alive. On the other side, we have the Once Upon a Time that can be fired off, but I don't think he wants to use the Gilded Goose for that, or does he? Is that a consideration?
We'll have to see. I mean, he doesn't really have a lot going on right now. It's also kind of curious on what he actually is looking for with Once Upon a Time in his Bant ramp strategy. Again, his deck is a little bit different than what Kvartek is up to and some of our other Simic food players here this weekend. So he does have, again, he does have key card in hand in Hydrocrisis.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna continue to hammer that home because that's a card that Cifka has that Kvartek doesn't, that you would expect all Simic players to play, right? I think if you're playing a base blue-green deck in this format, you go Gilded Goose and Oko and Hydrocrisis and Breeding Pool, and let's figure out the rest from there.
Yeah.
And Kvartek said, I don't need that card.
Yeah.
He's 4-0, by the way.
Yeah,
so.
he's 4-0, so, you know, his decision has been perfectly fine so far. And hoping to prove that he made the right call and go 5-0, be our first player through to day 2. Both Stan Cifka and Chris Kvartek are at 4-0, so they want to get their day over and done with. I'm betting. As much fun as it is to play more Magic, you don't want to play more Magic after this game, right?
Well, you'll take your break.
Yeah.
You'll take your pause where someone says, "Guess what? You don't get to play anymore." And it's like,
Yeah.
well, I must be doing something right then. I have a philosophy when you're playing in a tournament: win until they tell you to stop.
Yes, there you go. They hand you a trophy and a big pile of money.
Yeah, because it's rare. They generally only tell one person to stop winning because there are no more wins to be had.
Oko, Thief of Crowns, generating a food token. Nissa brought the island to life. And we're going to see 2 critters swinging here for 6 points of damage, or will we? I don't see why not. Here we go. In with the elk, in with the island. That's a funny looking elk. All of them are funny looking.
Well, and this is more how you draw it up if you're Kvartek.
Yep.
The last game we actually saw him get run over.
Yeah.
He got ran down by Cifka and his Oko and his Nissa. This is what Kvartek wants to be doing now. There's another copy of Hydrocrisis, but there's no Nissa in combination with it.
No.
So the Hydrocrisis
Crazies.
that Cifka can make, they're actually just not that big. At least not right now.
No, they're itty bitties.
Yeah.
They're not even stopping in land from.
So the first one that's a 2/2 is kind of inconsequential. Now the next one, because there's a food token out there, there's 4 lands, and Cifka hasn't played a land yet. Now that one would be a 4/4, and that one would be much better than what's going on the battlefield. So again, that's just a little thing that's worth noting here as well.
Yeah. Nissa just really amps up these Hydroid Crises so much. You know, it's a little bit of a shame not to have it, but like we saw, Nissa is on the bench for Stan Cifka. Hydroid Crises, number 2. Coming in hot. 4/4, getting 2 life, drawing 2 cards. What does he find? Another Oko and a Breeding Pool. When does he want to get these Okos down? As soon as possible? Or
Yeah,
is he just
I'm
hanging back
thinking
a little
about
bit?
that right now, which is like these Okos are just, they're just okay now. This 2/2 is going to check this Nissa a little bit and knock it from 6 loyalty down to 4 because it's not a good blocker on this battlefield. And ideally, this 4/4 is able to be a great blocker, and I was scared that might happen.
Oh, well, that's a Brazen Borrower.
Yes,
Hello.
it is.
It's going to return this Hydroid Crisis to Stan Cifka's hand. We're going to make a land. We're swinging in for 9 points of damage here?
And
more.
And make
Oh,
that
there
the
we go.
thing, and
Oko
make
doing
that
the
very
thing.
Easy. So the petty theft half of
Nice.
Brazen Borrower looking very, very, very
Ooh,
good. Again,
that
this
was
is
cheeky.
This is how he's trying to build his deck. These are the kind of games that he wants to play. He is much more of a tempo deck than some of the other Simic food decks that we have seen. Again, foregoing Hydroid Crisis for a different flyer in Brazen Borrower, and it's actually that petty theft half, which is get that thing out of the way when
Yeah.
we get this game over with. So in ideal, I mean, one could argue a perfect start. Turn 1 Goose, turn 2 Oko,
Oh, yeah.
turn 4 Nissa.
That was pretty much textbook for what Kvartek wants his deck to do.
Yep.
So we are going to game number 3. I kind of like that interaction with Oko and Nissa. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a 3/3. Oh, no, it's actually a 6/6. Haha.
I mean, Chris is good. Chris
Yeah.
is kind of coming out of nowhere to make a name for himself in these Mythic championships that we've been covering. And he's 4-0 today. He wins this game against a Pro Tour champion,
Yeah.
a chess champion, everything else that Cifka has done in his life. I mean, that's a big win. He already beat Leferato today. That's a huge
Yeah.
win. These wins aren't accidents. And look, I like to make this point in tournaments that I cover. You only get one shot to submit your deck list.
Yeah.
So when you're preparing for a tournament, think about if you're Chris and you know who you're playing against in this tournament. Reed Duke, William Jensen, Kai Bude, all this stuff. And you say to yourself, yeah, I'm playing blue-green, I'm not going to submit Hydrocrisis. It's not in my deck.
That's ballsy.
You better be right.
Yeah.
You better be right. So far, he is
Yeah.
very right.
Yeah, calculated risk, and it seems to be paying off in leaps and bounds here for Kvartek. But here we go, game number 3 between these two 4-0 players. Who will be our first 5-0 through to day 2? I do not like this hand at all, Cedric. That is icky.
Neither does Chris.
Ooh. He's look at him smiling. He's like, what is this? Come on, game.
I like when the mulligan decisions are easy.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to put a lot of mental energy towards that.
Cifka looks like he's agonizing over there.
Cifka always looks like he's in agony.
No, don't keep that, please, Kvartek. Mulligan. Okay.
There we go.
That's okay. That's not great.
This is just okay. This is not great. I think Chris would say that as well. He doesn't have acceleration. Voracious Hydras are, of course, great when you have excess mana to work with. Temple of Mystery can tie it together a little bit.
Yeah,
he's going to put one of those in the bottom, which I think makes some sense. This one needs to be pretty good, though.
All right, Brazen Borrow off the top. Oko, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd say that's not too shabby. On the other side, we've got a Gilded Goose that's going to get rocking and rolling into Mr. Oko or Teferi on turn 3, followed up by Wicked Wolf. That's not a bad start there from Cifka.
Yeah, and I like this play, too. Let's just get this thing out of here right away.
Nice.
Get that food token out of here. Let's slow down that Gilded Goose.
Brazen Borrow is a food thief, confirmed. So, is it Oko or is it Teferi? Seems to be Oko.
Yeah, I think it's Oko.
Yeah.
Oko's going to come down, make a food token, allow you to continue to ramp with your Gilded Goose.
Oh, yes. That'll let the Wicked Wolf come into play next turn if needs be. But on Kvartek's side of things, we've also got our own Oko. And we are making some food tokens. Deciding there if you wanted to make the goose into an elk. Castle Vantress is the draw for Stan Cifka. Got the wolves and Teferi to play with. May just return the favor and, you know, bounce that food token too.
Yeah, I mean, Wicked Wolf doesn't actually have anything to kill right now, so
he's just
taking this turn off to actually get it to Teferi on the battlefield, bounce a food token, draw a card. I mean, this all looks pretty good to me if I'm Stan in this spot.
Also shuts off the flashiness of the Brazen Borrower.
Yep.
So won't be doing any thieving on Stan Cifka's turn. No islands, so the Castle Vantress will come in tapped. But instead, just going for the Fabled Passage, you can crack that, find a land, and bring it in untapped. Oko has made the goose into a 3/3, and it's going to go swinging in at opposite Oko. And try and get this off the battlefield. This Planeswalker is rather tricky to kill. But he's trying. Nissa Who Shakes the World is the draw. We've got Brazen Borrowers aplenty and the Voracious Hydras who could not deal. They cannot deal with the Gilded Goose just yet.
Little short on taking care of the goose. Now, of course, you can play Hydra and double your tokens and all of that stuff and start to make some pretty large green threats. But he's like he's kind of a mana behind. His Oko's a little bit awkward because it's not doing anything overwhelmingly good right now. So it's just gonna make a food token and go from 3 loyalty to 5.
So a little bit on the back foot here for Kvartek. Just gonna get this Voracious Hydra going. Won't have anything to fight, but it will become rather large and in charge. I always wanted to say that. It's not as cool as I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's just okay.
Yeah, it was okay. So the Wicked Wolf will have a tricky time killing this. Unless we can get another food token. Oh, yeah, no, he'll kill it perfectly fine.
Well,
don't listen to me.
The question is, do you want to expend your food tokens this way? And I think the answer is yes now.
Yeah.
So, you play your Oko, you play a Wicked Wolf, you sacrifice 2 tokens, your 5/5, the 5/5 beats the 4/5, and it's a 5/5 moving forward.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And so I think this is a good exchange of resources here if you're Cifka.
Let's see if that is the case. Here comes Wicked Wolf number 1. He is going to fight the Voracious Hydra, munching on those 2 food tokens, becoming a 5/5 indestructible, and tapped, allowing the Gilded Goose to swing in for another 3 points of damage on the Oko, taking him down to 2. Munch, munch, smack. Those are the sound effects that should be in the game. Just
munch, munch, smack. If you were designing Arena, the old munch, munch, snack sound effect.
Snack. That's a better one.
Snack. Excuse me.
Okay, you win. So a land on the battlefield. We got the Gilded Goose swinging in. Oko's down to 2. We'll go back up to 4 if he makes another food token.
So that was a fist pump there from Chris. He got a little pumped up about that. So he's got some big plans with this Nissa, which is activate breeding pool. What else are we going to do here, Chris?
Make it into a 6/6? No? Oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean, he was very happy with that kind of step. So obviously, he's got plans. And step 1 can be to check Teferi and slow down Oko a little bit. Okay.
Put back the Brazen Borrower's ability to flash in and steal things.
Oh, actually, that's huge.
Petty theft, yeah.
Yeah,
So you can petty theft
Yeah,
something.
the petty theft is huge here.
Send back the wolf.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
So just us predicting things. We're no savants, but we try. So food token from Oko. Wicked Wolf can get a munchin if he wants to. Another Wicked Wolf enters the fray. Are we going to see the Brazen Borrower send this one back? I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. Sacrifice the food. That's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Brazen Borrower. What you got? Although, yeah, it dies either way, so you may as well send it back. No? Oko will die here. Kvartek's Oko is pretty much dead.
Well, it's not so much about the Oko dying. I think it's more about the Nissa.
Yeah. Can he kill both Planeswalkers? No.
No.
Needs a slightly bigger doggy. So sending back the Goose or the other Wicked Wolf? Rather.
That's a good question.
The Goose is loose. Back it goes to hand. So losing the island. The second Wicked Wolf gains his counter and indestructible. The 5/5 is still available, but it cannot kill Nissa.
So we can't kill Oko.
Yeah, just going to kill Oko.
Yep.
That's pretty good, though, for Kvartek. Just keep Nissa protected. Keep going up the board with land.
No, this is going well for Chris.
Yeah.
Because now he's dumping a bunch of mana
yeah.
into Voracious Hydra.
Oh, yeah. So this wolf that was a pain in the butt doesn't have anything to munch on and is going to meet its doom at the hands of a Voracious Hydra. Going to go snacking on the puppy.
He's fighting back.
Yeah.
Because he also has the biggest creature on the battlefield right now in a 6/7. So
Oh, yeah.
we get to fight the biggest wolf, which is a 5/5. You win this battle. I don't believe he's activated Nissa yet, so you get the +1
Yeah.
here. Bring it up to 7 loyalty, untap a land, give some
Swing
beatdowns
for
on
6,
Oko.
yeah. Oko's down to 2.
Yep.
That's really, really good.
And you can't forget that he's got 2 flyers in the holster here.
Yeah. Can't get them in yet.
Now they're not
yet.
naturally they're not the best thing that's going on in this game, especially because as we can see, and Chris doesn't know this yet, that Stan has that copy of Hydro Crisis
Oh,
in
yeah.
hand. But if you're Chris, you're thinking to yourself, okay, you have a Gilded Goose, and you have 2 mystery cards, and the Gilded Goose at this stage of the things doesn't really matter. So I must be doing pretty well.
Yeah, because the Wicked Wolf can become a 6/6. Still doesn't get through the Hydra, so Nissa's safe for a turn.
Yep.
Brazen Borrowers won't come into play for a bit. Hydroid Crisis is a go, drawing a Growth Spiral and a Gilded Goose.
Those are mostly whiffs.
Yeah.
In this spot. Now, the Gilded Gooses are relevant, Gilded Geese, I suppose, are relevant because the food tokens they generate.
Yeah.
That's why those are going to matter. Now, again, one thing to note, and we haven't actually seen it be activated this game, is the Blue Castle.
Yeah.
Because we're
Scry.
working ourselves into a late game right now, and so the scry effect of the Blue Castle could matter.
Yeah, we may see a upkeep stop if we want to go scrying and just shore up our draws if we're Stan Cifka. But things are looking pretty evenly matched here.
It's getting better for Chris. He had to
Yeah.
draw that land on time. That's why you saw a little bit of emotion from him.
Yeah.
Now, I admittedly, I will say that now Chris has drawn a forest. This is one of those spots where his deck construction hurts him a little bit because we saw the petty theft side of Brazen Borrower be pretty good. Now this is where, imagine those Brazen Borrowers in this fake world I'm generating. Let's imagine that's a Hydro Crisis. One of them is a Hydro Crisis. Now he's saying, dump all my mana, draw some cards, push my advantage. He can't do that right now.
He cannot. Voracious Hydra meets Wicked Wolf. Wicked Wolf will chow on a food token just to stay alive and prevent a few points of damage on Oko. Just get through for the 1 unless he decides to sacrifice both, which I don't think we'd see.
Yeah,
Oko losing 1, there's no real biggie there.
I somehow doubt that's going to happen.
Brazen Borrower's online. Not much else going on for Kvartek, though. He needs to find something useful. Needs to find some more gas.
Again, yeah, this is, and
okay.
it actually looks like the wolf is going to sacrifice the other food token as well. So naturally going to live, no trample, all that jazz. This is again where the deck construction just comes back and hurts him just a little bit. The longer the games go, the worse it is for Chris. He's got to have a tempo-oriented game like we saw in the second game. This one's starting to drag out a little bit too much, and that's where Hydroid Crisis starts to work itself into the equation.
Veil of Summer as a draw for Cifka could come in handy if Kvartek wants to get touchy with Petty Theft. Growth Spiral is going to be the play, though. Firing that off, what do we find? Another Breeding Pool. So that'll join the fray. Still no scries, like you mentioned. Or did I miss it?
No scry yet.
No scry
No
yet.
activation of the castle.
Curiouser and curiouser. So both Brazen Borrowers on their adventure, itching to get in. But they could double... No, not double block.
Can't play them both yet.
Can't play them both yet, no. Couple of blues short. Gilded Goose is the play here for Stan Cifka. Gonna generate that food token, and this wolf is getting mighty big. And it's gonna start taking over the battlefield here. This Voracious Hydra, it's a 6/7, but it's gonna get smushed by this ever-growing puppy dog.
Yeah, this Voracious Hydra, it did some nice work on that first Wicked Wolf, but now this second Wicked Wolf with the food generation from Oko and Gilded Goose, it's getting to become pretty difficult to actually stop this thing.
Yeah.
So, what we're going to have to do is get a little bit creative. We're going to start with Brazen Borrower and start to get into the air. Now, Wicked Wolf might be an okay draw here. Might just be okay.
No food, though. So it can kill the Gilded Goose that's currently blocking the Brazen Borrower in the air, if we want to attack with that. But it's not doing much else beyond that.
Doesn't really feel like it is.
No. Can't sacrifice that food. That is now an elk. So it's going to be interesting to see what he targets here. Is going for the O2 Goose.
Okay.
Take that out the way. Brazen Borrower can get in. We can also flash in... Does he have the mana for it? Yeah. Can also flash in the second Brazen Borrower. It'll be no surprise to Stan Cifka. Obviously, he sees the second one on an adventure just to block and kill the Hydroid Crisis on the coming up turn.
Yeah, what gets a little bit difficult here, if you're Chris, is that your Nissa is going to have a hard time getting to its ultimate.
Yeah.
As things currently stand. Your Wicked Wolf would have loved to kill Hydroid Crisis, but you don't have the ability to do that right now.
Oh.
But you know what? I'm here for this.
Yeah, this is great.
I am here for this,
You
which
said
is...
Kvartek needs to get going?
I mean, we just got to try to win.
He heard you.
Right? We just have to try to turn the corner and win this game.
So swinging in with the team, Wicked Wolf can block the Voracious Hydra and kill it with the sacrifice of the food. The Forest and the Gilded Elk will trade. Or we'll get through for, what's it, 9 points of damage?
Yeah,
No.
I like this. I like this. I like this attack a lot.
It's actually really cool.
So Wicked Wolf can sacrifice. Wicked Wolf can eat the food token
Yeah.
and beat the Voracious Hydra in combat. And then the Gilded Goose, that's an elk, is going to trade with something. You're going to get a bunch of damage through. You have a Brazen Borrower in the holster to deploy post-combat
Yeah, I love
on your
this.
opponent's turn, especially Notes of Fairy, none of that stuff happening. And you actually want, you have to shorten the game.
Yeah.
He can't play the long game, as I've mentioned numerous times here, and this is a reason why. The castle is going to find Stan whenever he needs. So you have to shorten the game as much as you can. Additionally, with Oko just out there generating food tokens, we could just see Stan go, oh, I'm going to make a food token, sack it, gain 3 life.
Yeah.
Let's keep playing a longer game. So, Chris, I mean, this looks like a Hail Mary. It's not. It's his only chance to win the
It's his
game.
only way, yeah. Because like you said, he's not finding anything he needs off the top. He doesn't have the Hydroid Crisis to draw cards for him.
Yep.
So this is it. Let's swing out and see what happens. Going to go down to 4 is Stan Cifka. Got a Brazen Borrower ready to fire out and possibly take the win next turn.
That's a great
Let's
turn.
see what he draws.
It was a great turn. It was a great turn. It's a great attack. It's a great assessment of what's going on the battlefield. I can't win long.
Yeah.
It's not an option for me. I have to play my deck as it's constructed, which it's a tempo deck. I have to try to win the game. I don't have these awesome long game options to draw to. I mean, take a look at how Stan sideboarded. He boarded in a card like Mass Manipulation. You want to give him a chance to draw that?
No.
If he draws that and resolves it, the game's over.
Yep.
The only way I can win this game is by giving beatdowns, and so he's got to try to cross the finish line as fast as possible through all of this food generation as well.
I think he's doing exactly that. He heard you. So, tense times here for Stan Cifka. He needs to find a way to stave off this attack. Still going after the Nissa who shakes the world.
I did not expect that.
Interesting.
So, yeah, you have to... Okay.
Just the chump, because we replace that with Nissa next turn. She survives. Brazen Borrower will allow Stan to draw a card off the Veil of Summer.
So what that block does
Okay.
is Chris can play Brazen Borrower and end step.
Yep.
So Chris effectively next turn has 6 attackers. You see 4 right now. Brazen Borrower would be 5. Nissa activation would be 6.
Yes.
So there are currently 2 blockers here for Stan.
Yes.
Food token can be, we'll call it a makeshift blocker, because it gains 3 life and invalidates one of the Nissa lands. So let's say it's 6 attackers or 3 blockers right now.
Yeah.
And that means that would be enough damage to come through because all these attackers are 3s.
Yeah. So this may be game over for Stan Cifka. He can sacrifice the food, go up to 7.
Well, the easy way to look at the food token is just look at the food token and look at the forest. Just look at the food token as a forest.
Okay.
As a 3/3 forest. So that food token's blocking the 3/3-ness of forest. That's
We're
it.
exchanging control of things here. Nice. So, Oko is getting thievy, taking the forest from Kvartek, exchanging it for the Gilded Goose. Brazen Boar is going to get flashed in, and in response, we'll see the Veil of Summer played.
Yep.
Oh, hello.
Do we have the mana? We do have the mana to cast that.
Yeah, so that's another body on the board.
So that's actually pretty... That's not bad.
Is it enough, though? That is the question.
It's not bad.
So, we don't make the food token into an elk, but we do gain 3 life, so he's on 7. We've got 2 blockers.
Target's Hollowed Fountain. So we're going to very quickly make a creature here if we're Chris.
And just swing?
Yeah, I mean, like I don't think his game plan changes any of attack all, ignoring Gilded Goose.
Yeah. No, assert dominance. Go with the goose. Yes, go.
Go with the goose?
Go with the goose.
Yeah, there you go. let's hang back there, little fella. So 1, 2, so 2 blockers, and then activate the food token. So that puts him in a... No,
he's dead, isn't he?
No, I think he lives. Yeah, he lives.
7. 3, 6, 9 damage. How does he stop?
No, he's no, it's fine. No, you're right. Nope, you're right.
Yeah, he's dead. Quick math. I'm pretty sure this is game over here for Stan Cifka. Unless he's got another way to gain life that we are unaware of. Wicked Wolf. Gonna get in some extra damage there just to be sure.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
Boom.
Dunzo.
Chris
Congratulations, Chris Kvartek. Look at that smile on his face. He knows his magic is done for the day through to day 2. Heck yeah.
So,
I bet he's happy about that.
Starts his day by beating Mythic,
Yeah.
defending champion. Just beat another Pro Tour champion here in Stanislav Cifka, someone who's been breaking formats left and right as a member of the Czech House. This is a relative unknown, a New York Magic player who I don't want to say does this in his spare time because he's definitely dedicated a lot of time. He is killing it. He is through to day 2.
Oh yeah, that was absolutely phenomenal. He's calling it. He's saying, I don't like Hydroid Krasis. I'm going to play Marileaf Pixie instead. Thank you very much.
You have to understand how bold of a decision this is with the changes he's made to this deck. The Simic food deck that the best players of all time are playing this weekend have Hydroid Krasis, and they're not playing Brazen Borrower. He's through the day number 2. It's awesome to watch.
All right, let's hear from Chris Kvartek now. Becca has him ready.